I'll tell you what, one thing about Matt Sydal, one thing he's very good at is choking. And I mean, the man chokes so much, he might as well be playing forward for the Ottawa Senators.
Hey yo, it's me, it's the RAV. I am back for the first time in fucking forever doing the HeelCast. Also back for the first time in fucking forever. We got my man Kyle with me. Kyle, what's up?
Oh, been a long time. I bet you the listeners were not expecting to hear the Raven Effect, the RAV, or the KYLE for that matter, but we're here. We're back. Great things happening in Impact.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, great things and also some shitty things, to be honest. But, you know, Kyle, we kind of talked before we went on the air. I mean, both of us, to be honest, had kind of gotten a little disinterested in the product for a while. And then last week's show kind of hooked us both back in. And then these tapings, I mean, there's a lot of shit going on right now at Impact Wrestling. I'm kind of rejuvenated as a fan. I'm really happy and excited to see these next set of tapings. But and it sounds like you're doing the same, is that correct?
Absolutely, man. Like, just like you, I kind of lost interest for a while, but I would tune in weekly and just skim through the show. I would watch Eli Drake's segment, EC3. I love Dan Lambert. I'm a huge fan of his. We could get into that later. But I wasn't sucked into the show like, you know, I've been for, you know, so many years. Like, I wasn't coming here on the HeelCast to talk about it because it's just, you know, I wasn't feeling it. But after this last week, for some reason, I just decided to sit down and watch the episode. I watched the whole thing, loved it, made me more interested in the product, and I've been following the spoilers a little just to figure out with the new regime, you know, what they have going on. And I gotta say, dude, right off the bat, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore, I think these are the two guys that are gonna take this company to places it hasn't been in a very long time, or ever for that matter. They're aggressive. They're making changes. I love their vision. And I'll go and say this, Raven Effect. I think that Scott and Don have almost made more progress than Billy Corgan did his whole run in just this week of shows that haven't even come out yet. I love their vision.
Yeah, man, like, I've been a fan of Don Callis since, I mean, the beginning, really. I'm an ECW guy, so, I mean, him commentating as Cyrus on ECW, like, the shit that him and Paul Heyman would do, man, was just gold. I've always thought he was a good character. The Jackal in WWF, I mean, they kind of held him down, but you could see him kind of shining through there. So it's nice to see him come around, in my opinion. Scott D'Amore, we know what he did to the Knockouts back in the days, as the agent there. Like, the guy was, like, he made fucking women's wrestling stop being a joke in TNA in that company. Like, he was the fucking agent behind it. So I'm excited there. I've always been kind of happy that he was sticking around after Jeff left, after Dutch left. I don't know what Ed Nordholm's role is going to be in here, but we know he has some sort of, you know, like, influence over it. Because for some reason, Ed Nordholm is the be-all end-all with Pro Wrestling Creative. But, hey, we'll see how it goes. But it definitely seems like it's on the ups. I think we're going to get higher quality wrestling. Maybe a little less bullshit storylines. And, you know, the Billy Corgan thing, we're not going to get some X Division capture the flag and some of the ridiculous shit that we had going on with Billy Corgan. But I don't have this in the news, but I also heard a rumor that, like, the NWA was actually going to come to TNA Impact. Did you hear this?
Yeah, I don't know if it's considered a spoiler or not. Actually, no, it's not, because what they did isn't. It's not going to be a part of Impact TV, but today is Sunday. Today they went in there and they used the Impact Zone and filmed an empty arena match. And it's going to be uploaded onto their YouTube channel probably tomorrow or the next day. Ex-Impact writer David Lagana, he's partners with Billy Corgan on the project. He tweeted out today that it's going to be uploaded ASAP as soon as it's done being, you know, put together and whatnot. And dude, it's great to have these partnerships, man. It's great for Impact. It's great for the wrestling business as a whole.
I got to, so that's they're not actually going to be like working together like an invasion angle or talent swap.
Well, who's to say? We'll see. We'll see where it goes, or what happens. But there is a partnership there. They are working together, and that's good. But it just goes to show you, like, Billy Corgan left Impact, and now like he's with his whole other company. He bought the NWA, and he's working with Impact again in a way. And it's just like, dude, anything can happen in professional wrestling. Anything.
Yeah, absolutely can. I mean, look, and hopefully it's going to be on the GWN. A lot of people that I'll see on Impact Asylum and whatnot, they're actually they like the Billy Corgan area. They liked that stuff. I mean, it gives it's another fucking way for people in the wrestling business to make money. More ways for people to actually see wrestling. It's a good thing. You know what I mean? And we'll see where it goes from there. Let's hop into the plugs here real fast. Real fast here, I should say. But look, I haven't done this in a long time. Can't remember everyone, but look, check out impactasylum.net. Of course, my boy FK9. FK9 went through some shit. I don't know who all knows this or whatnot. I don't know if FK9 has been back officially yet, but FK9, just want to say what's up, man. Hope you're doing good. We'll have FK9 back on the HeelCast with us here very short. And, also my boy BQ at the Impact Lounge, Andre Corbeil. Everyone else I may be forgetting. Apparently there's some beef here with Hurls and someone else, so we ain't going to count that out anymore. But, keep doing your thing. Check out the other Impact Wrestling podcasts, and then we'll move on from there. So, Kyle, we got so much news and rumors and shit to talk about right now. So what I'm going to actually just kind of go over a brief recap of the show, because there's so much stuff to talk about, and I want to kind of put that towards the end because that's where the big discussion is going to be, if you don't mind, sir.
Hey, you're the captain, man. You're steering the ship right now. Whatever you want to do.
Let me check out here. So, look, opens with Kyle's boy Dan Lambert, kind of get things going. He said he was there for two reasons: to kind of give a moment of silence for James Storm's career and get him some beer money if the fans could put that together. And introduce KM as the newest member of ATT. Also says he did what Lashley couldn't do. Lashley looks a little pissed off about that, kind of getting some teasing there. Who knows what'll go from there.
Sorry to cut you off, Raven Effect, but I loved Lambert's promos. I think he's gold, and I loved this segment right here. Right here where we're talking, I'm going to insert the actual promo of what Lambert said. So I'm going to put that right here, starting now.
I'm here for two reasons. Reason number one is to have a moment of silence in honor of the dearly departed Cowboy James Storm. The man who built Impact Wrestling. The man who's been here since day one. The man who is the face of Impact Wrestling. The man who is now unemployed. You guys seem to care about him so much. Why don't you start a little collection on your way out? Maybe you can help him raise a little bit of beer money. So much for his damn luck.
Yeah, Dan Lambert, man, I know a lot of people like trying to hate on American Top Team or whatnot, and a lot of people are just fucking wrestling fans that don't like MMA, which I don't really understand, being a guy who loves both. But Dan Lambert is great at what he does, man. This guy could be a great pro wrestling manager. I kind of hope that he sticks around, to be honest with you. Who knows what's going to happen from there, but I'd like to see him stick around. I mean, dude, KM could use the rub. You put him with someone like Braxton Sutter, like I did in my Impact Asylum booking challenge stuff. I mean, there's people that could really benefit from a good heel manager, and Dan Lambert's kind of that guy. And he's got credibility, man. Like, okay, I understand he kind of looks weak or whatnot, but he owns and trains like one of the top MMA gyms in the world. If you don't think he could kick some serious ass, come on now. But I'm digging this stuff. Colby Covington should be a huge fucking thing for Impact if they can keep him around. But, we'll see where it goes from there.
And he's just so natural on the microphone. Like, real quick, then we'll move along. If you don't like, I was about to say Ed Nordholm. If you don't like Dan Lambert, go back to the promo he did a few months ago where he was doing I'm a real wrestling fan, and he showed his belt collection. Like, dude, that shit was awesome. That was great wrestling television right there. That guy can talk, he can get heat, and he can cut a promo. I'll say this, Dan Lambert can cut a better promo than like 75% of all the heels in professional wrestling right now. And I mean it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of his promos, the one you're talking about, dude, was a straight gold. It just blew my mind. Like the memorabilia and stuff that he had was so fucking cool too. I mean, the guy has that as his collection. Obviously, he can afford a lot of shit that most of us can't, but it was super cool to see. I never actually knew that about Dan Lambert at the time. Of course, you got credibility there with King Mo, and Mo can wrestle a little bit and whatnot. But I mean, that match at Bound for Glory was pretty awful. But Dan Lambert, ATT, man, let's stick around. So the next match here was something that I loved, which was two of my fucking favorite guys in all of wrestling. So EC3, Ethan Carter III, defending the Grand Championship against my man, Petey Williams. Ended with a disqualification with Matt Sydal interfering. Sydal had he challenged EC3 to a 60, like an Iron Man match or a 60-minute time limit with no judges, no rounds. And then he said if EC3 beats him, then he'll give him, did you say a handshake and a hug, if I remember right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Sydal is a good wrestler. He's really talented and all. I cannot really get behind the guy. There's just always been something about him that's kind of lacking to me, I guess.
Oh, shit.
I enjoy seeing the guy perform. I really do. It's just, I feel like he's getting pushed a little too hard. I feel he shouldn't have never pinned Lashley. I feel like EC3 is so far out of his level, if that makes sense, but we'll see where it goes from here.
I think he's a great high flyer. I think he does a great shooting star press. I think he's a great cruiserweight wrestler. I've been a fan of his since go way back. The first time I ever saw the guy wrestle, the first episode of Wrestling Society X on MTV. You remember that, Raven Effect?
I remember the show. I remember the Piranhas. I remember X-Pac. I don't actually remember seeing Matt Sydal in there.
He played like a football jock character, like a high school football Letterman jacket wearing. Good times, but I like Matt Sydal. I guess we're gonna agree to disagree there. I'm a fan, but hey, we all like who we like.
And I don't want to say I dislike the guy. I mean, he's a great wrestler. I think
you think he's getting pushed a little too hard. You think he's getting pushed a little too hard?
Yeah. And I think he's being pushed a little too hard because not of Matt Sydal, not because of ROH New Japan. I think he was pushed too hard because he was Evan Bourne. And maybe that's the reason why I'm kind of a little anti it. But there's just no character to the guy, in my opinion. Either football or the Letterman jacket jock in high school kind of a thing on Wrestling Society X. But it turns out in real life, he's probably that guy that would get picked on by them back in high school. But things have changed now. If you pick on someone, you're I don't know, social justice warriors coming for you. But so they have the Allie and Laura Van Ness thing going on. It's not weak little Allie anymore. Ready to play if Laura wants in, and then it shows Patron isn't happy, and which I'm gonna get to that in a sec. But so LVN took on Casey Spinelli. I'm actually pretty impressed with Casey Spinelli. But Laura Van Ness retains, gets the win with the unprettier. Allie kind of attacks her afterwards. She runs out holding up the title. Kyle, anything to chime in on this with the knockouts?
I'm a sexist. I don't watch the knockouts. No, I'm just kidding. I watch the knockouts a little too much, a little too closely. But, yeah, you know what? Casey Spinelli, this is really, honestly, the first time I've actually watched her. So, I mean, she didn't, I'm not a huge fan right off the bat. I'll give her some more time, give her a few matches. But, for me, it's whatever, No opinion. No input.
We've got. We're going to talk a lot more about Laura Van Ness towards the end of the show. Something I've kind of had to. I haven't been on the show to kind of get my thoughts on her because I've got some shit that I want to get off my chest about this girl. So we'll be talking about that here shortly. But she is our Knockouts champion as of right now. So LVN is a good-looking girl, man. She really is hot, sexy, all that. I enjoy seeing her. I just don't enjoy her as a person that much anymore. But
that one's
Hurls back on the call. It all hurls. And look, anyone listening to this HeelCast, you need to fucking thank Hurls because honestly, if it weren't for Hurls' effort and hard work and putting shit into this, I don't know that we would have had a fucking show more than once or twice in the past 2 or 3 months. So I want to give Hurls a legitimate thank you for holding down the entire HeelCast. And
thank you,
seriously.
That's a round of applause, not a fat of applause.
We're actually clapping while beating off simultaneously.
Yes, absolutely.
In honor of Hurls. Welcome Larkin to the HeelCast. Hope you guys are enjoying Larkin. If he's not going by the name Larkin, my sincere apologies. But also, you know what, HeelCast Nation, I don't want to jinx it and say it's 100% say the name and all, but we should actually be having an interview coming up in the next couple of days here. With you guys interviewing someone from the Impact Wrestling roster, so stay tuned for that. I meant to mention that at the start. But this Impact Wrestling roster, if there's anyone in wrestling that has kept me intrigued with Impact, even when I was kind of down on it, it's the man who I will say is on a different level than anyone else. This entire business is Eli Drake, our World Heavyweight Champion. Him and Adonis did a championship address, and let's see, I'm trying to remember exactly. Calls anyone who lives in the horrible weather. I remember he talked about that was EC3 earlier about Matt Sydal chugging somebody who should play for the Centers and getting all that heel heat. But it brought out Alberto El Patron. And, dude, when the fuck did Patron become full-on face again? Am I missing, like, is he supposed to kind of be heel? Because it feels like Alberto just full-on face turn after Bound for Glory where he was straight-up heel.
Guess he's a tweener.
Or a tweaker.
Tweaker, yeah, or a tweaker.
I actually think that may have been Paige. Who knows? But he just feels like he's 100% face to me, man. And I don't get it. I don't know why they would resort back to that. I feel like, honestly, if anyone was going to turn, I thought it was going to be Eli Drake, not Alberto. Keep Eli the way he is, but man, I don't know that I'm feeling it. I wanted to see the heel Alberto. Not this face shit again. And it's kind of like he just kind of gave up, stopped being pissed and just went being normal. I don't know. I don't get it. And I guess maybe that's why we got Callis and Scott D'Amore kind of taking over things. But Johnny Impact came out as well. Dude, I love this guy, but if anyone needs a heel turn, it's got to be this guy. He is so fucking bland in his he had like 3 sentences, dude, and it was just so bad to listen to. It's just, where is this guy? And apparently in Lucha Underground, I've heard people say he gives like the best heel promo in the business. And I think it's time to turn Johnny Impact heel because I'm not feeling his character or what he's doing as a face.
You're not going to Slam Town?
I'm going to Smash Town, but dude, I don't get it, man. I love the guy. I think he's just a phenomenal performer, but when he talks and does a promo, who gives a shit? Like, there's nothing to get behind. And I don't want to see the guy become the champ, to be honest. It's not at all.
You know, I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. I think his matches are very entertaining, but I'm with you. I'm not really feeling the character too much, or lack thereof. And I hate how he came into the company and they named him Johnny Impact. Like, he's never worked there before. How did he become Johnny Impact? Like, he walked right in, all right, he's the face that runs the place already. Like, come on. Like, I don't know. I think they could have been a little more creative naming the guy Johnny Impact. Did he earn the title of Johnny Impact? He hasn't won any titles. I don't know. Whatever. That's why we got Scott and Don coming in to clean the place up. And hopefully they do something with that goddamn Grand Championship. I hate that belt.
I like the belt. I like the name. I like the mid-card title, the thought of it. I'd love to see the rules get scrapped.
I hate the rules. That's the thing. I hate the matches. I hate the judges. It just doesn't work for me.
It's the genius of Billy Corgan. Yeah. What I suggested as far as how my the Impact booking challenge thing that I did was scrap that shit. Make it a 15-minute time limit. If they want to stick to this thing, make it a 15-minute time limit. If it goes a distance, use judges, but don't interrupt the match to start. I'd like to see the judges and shit just get out of there. Period. I'd like to see use the way the Intercontinental Championship used to be used back in the days where it was kind of like the workers' champion, like the best worker in the ring, that wasn't necessarily the best talker or promo, like, a Hulk Hogan or whatnot, would have that belt. Or they would give it to a guy, say, like the Ultimate Warrior, to see if it's going to catapult him to get him to, a bigger status. And I feel like that's what they should do with the Grand Championship, because Impact, they don't have 500 countless hours of TV that I got to put out every week like WWE does. Feel they could do it, but something's got to change with this belt, and I hope to God Scott D'Amore and Don Callis are just done with it. Let's see, what else do we have going on there? We had the Chandler Park and Joseph Park stuff. Jimmy Jacobs came out asking about what happened to Abyss. something I actually used in my Impact booking challenge as well. I'm not trying to put myself over. I'm just saying some shit that I put in there. I'm seeing on Impact. So Congo Kong is with Jimmy Jacobs nowadays. Got a feud going on there. What thoughts on this Chandler Park? Ethan Page was what he went by.
You know what, man? I am a sucker, especially in Impact Wrestling. I love goofy comedy shtick, man. I loved Josh Matthews, the GOAT. I loved anything with Grado. I loved the Joseph Park character. And you know what? It's not everybody's cup of tea, but honestly, Raven, I'm going to sound like a big mark here, but you want to know something?
Let's hear it.
I already ordered my Chandler Parks t-shirt, which you can get yourself at ProWrestlingTees.com/Ethan Page. It is a really funny t-shirt. You got to get it. It says Park and Park, law attorney at law on it. It is a great shirt. I had to buy it, and I love the character Chandler Park. I think he's hysterical. The way he speaks, the way he, just this segment alone, just, dude, it's hysterical. It's for me. I'm loving it. But I know a whole lot of fans are probably shitting on it. But I guess that's the point.
I'm not. It's funny. When Joseph Park was around the first time around, I didn't like it. It was like, get a bit back. I'm not digging it. Since he's came back and did the stuff with JB this year, it's funny. It really is funny, and it makes me laugh, and I enjoy it. I enjoy Joseph Park way more than I thought. This Ethan Page guy, I didn't know much about. People were hyping the shit out of this guy, saying if EC3 lives a company, like this guy can kind of fill in his shoes. I think that's a bit of a reach so far, but this guy obviously has some charisma, some funniness to him. Kyle's even buying his t-shirt.
I'm buying his t-shirt, marking out. But I don't think that's the direction they're going in, trying to say that he's going to be the next EC3. Clearly that he's going to play like a comedy character, you know what I mean? I don't think he's in line for a World Heavyweight Championship title anytime soon. Unless Vince Russo was booking the show, bro. But that's not the case. I'm a fan, and also, dude, I love Jimmy Jacobs. I've been a Jimmy Jacobs fan for, since his Ring of Honor days, the beginning of his Ring of Honor days, way back when, talking 10 years ago. I love Jimmy Jacobs. I think he's great. I was very excited when he came into the company at Bound for Glory, and this is one of my favorite angles already. I'm loving where this is going. Give Congo Kong his props, too. Shout out to Congo Kong, too.
Congo Kong is the man, and you should love it. No, man, Jimmy Jacobs, I feel like Congo Kong, I actually kind of dig the look. Some people have been so down on the guy, and I've never been down on him because I like the monster kind of appearance. He kind of reminded me like Kamala and shit back in the days, just kind of a different version of it. I think the guy is better than a lot of people want to not admit. But I would like to see more people with Jimmy Jacobs. I'd like to see a bigger stable. I honestly was never that big on Jimmy Jacobs, but since he's been in Impact, he's winning me over. Maybe because it was okay, thank God we have some fresh blood and someone else. But
now hold on a second, Raven Effect. Were you watching the feud he had with Austin Aries and Lacey? That whole saga. Did you follow any of that? This is 2006. We're talking about. This is a long time ago.
That was before my ROH time. Old school heel. I've had so many people tell me about how great it was.
That was awesome. That's where I became a fan of him. And then later on, you had Age of the Fall with Tyler Black, and they hung one of the Briscoes from the top of the arena and had him bleed like a pig all over themselves. And they literally stood there and let his blood rain on them. It was one of the most disgusting, disturbing things. But that was back when Ring of Honor was good. I think it's a pile of shit nowadays, but that was way back in the day. And I've been a fan of Jimmy since. I love Jimmy Jacobs. I think he's a great creative mind. If you don't know, he was the guy behind the whole List of Jericho thing. He's just a great mind for the business. I think he's a hell of a talent. I don't really, the thing is with him though, he's not the guy that I'm so big on his actual in-ring work. I love him more as a character. So if he's an Impact and he's just going to be a manager for guys like Congo Kong, that's fine with me, because, I love managers to begin with. I think that's a lost art in professional wrestling, and he can cut a good promo, and he's the perfect guy to do it. So, yeah, bottom line, I am totally invested in this whole thing with the Park and Park attorney at law going up against Congo Kong and Jimmy Jacobs.
Yeah, the Jimmy Jacobs with creative stuff, all that, I think that's maybe the reason why I'm so behind the guy being here. And also, I've been screaming for managers to come back in wrestling. You're right, it is a lost art. I mean, Bobby the Brain Heenan, just the dude can never be duplicated. I would just like to see something come back.
And James Mitchell, go back to TNA. James Mitchell,
I love
one of my
James
favorites.
Mitchell.
You know, like, managers are awesome. We need more fucking managers in professional wrestling. Bring that shit back.
Exactly. Man, sensational. Sherry back in the days. Elizabeth, like, I always felt Rebel could just play the Miss Elizabeth role where she's just so pretty and sweet. Like, you don't have to do shit. Just go out there and smile and look pretty and kind of cheer on your man. You know, and the best one that we had possible is Rockstar Spud. Unfortunately, he's working for the Evil Empire now. But, you know, see where it goes. The only thing I want to say, like, this Chandler Park character, we have another guy kind of in this alley situation where it's like, we know they're a great wrestler. We know that they're capable of doing stuff, but it's kind of like another character that's coming into Impact, learning how to wrestle, if that makes sense. And I don't know that that's like the right thing to do. I think I read on Asylum somewhere, someone has suggested, like, you know, Joseph Park has an alter ego of Abyss. Maybe Chandler Park will have an alter ego too and kind of come out as like Ethan Page or something along those lines. You know what I mean? And be a good wrestler. So who knows? We'll see where it goes from there. But we had OVE wreck LAX's clubhouse. LAX comes back and find it. Barbed wire got mentioned. We're going to talk about this a little later because I am about as disappointed as it could be. Chef, I don't know how Chef feels about LAX, you know, kind of leaving their turf and letting it get mugged out like that. I don't think Chef buys into it. Anything on this OVE and LAX feud? It's been a lot better than I thought with Sami Callihan in, but
you on some real shit though. You a bitch ass nigga,
dude. I'm surprised. What are you disappointed about?
I don't know that I'm disappointed at all. Like OVE's winning me over a little more because I just wasn't fucking behind these guys.
I'm an LAX guy. I'm not even behind OVE. I mean, I think they're cool. OVE's, you know, I love Sami Callihan. He's great and stuff. But in this feud, I am investing myself into LAX.
Dude, I'm an LAX guy, so I fucking love LAX. Like, they are the shit to me. Tag team. I want to see Diamante come back and actually get in the ring. I'm happy as hell to see Homicide back and actually performing. I've always been a fan of Homicide. Santana and Ortiz are awesome. So here's the thing with the Sami Callihan, because I never saw him in NXT or any of the other shit. Like, people would tell me how good he is, dude. But so, like, you know, back in the days, my dad would always make fun of me for watching. Not make fun of me, you know what I mean? Like, don't get all fucking, oh, his dad was bullying him. Just, you know, rednecks watch it. It's fake. And you say all wrestling is a bunch of rednecks yelling at each other and screaming when they talk. Why the fuck does Sami Callihan, every time the guy talks, just yell? Like, can he talk in a normal voice? It's just stood out to me. Like, the dude just kind of yells every time he talks. And it's like, just settle down, bro. Just settle down, dog. I don't know if I'm the only one catching this. It's so just out there to me, and I want to see him just kind of mellow out.
But I think he does play a good dark. Like, I'm not going to compare him to. Sorry to say your little nickname here, Raven. But he, you know, think of that sort of genre of wrestling character. I think he plays a cool dark role. I didn't give a shit about OVE at all until Sami Callihan showed up at Bound for Glory. I don't know. I mean, I'm into this feud a lot, but I'm not rooting for OVE by any stretch of the imagination. I am a full-out LAX gangbanger. That's why I'm rolling with Chef. I'm rolling with the LAX. I'm with that.
Shit, though. You a bitch ass nigga.
Yeah.
You on some real shit, though. You a bitch ass nigga.
So we had the Cult of Lee with Hakeem Zayn against Desmond Xavier, Garza Jr., and Sanjay Dutt. Man, I just gonna say Desmond Xavier, Garza Jr., and Sanjay Dutt, three guys that I just feel are completely going under the radar now. The one thing I do miss about Double J being around was the push of the X Division. And it feels like we're going to lose some of these guys, or they're not going to be featured. I've got some big concerns about Desmond Xavier, but Desmond got the pin there. And Desmond got the pin. Ishimori came out, held up the belt in front of Desmond Xavier. They're going to do the rematch thing. I'm excited for that. The first match was good. I would so much rather Desmond Xavier be the champ than Ishimori, but, you know, they got to do what they got to do with the Noah partnership. Anything you add on to that one?
No, you're right, man. It just seems to be the curse of the X Division. It just seems like it's so hard for them to put emphasis on the X Division. And honestly, this is just my opinion. I think one of the reasons that the X Division kind of struggles is because, all right, at the height of the X Division, you really weren't seeing that style anywhere else unless you were watching the independents. And, back then, wrestling wasn't as accessible when it comes to independent wrestling. You still bought DVDs or certain stuff would show up on YouTube. But now, where we are in 2018, the high-flying X Division style it's oversaturated. It's everywhere. A lot of, you look at the WWE, they don't really have too many monsters anymore. A lot of the guys are what would be considered X Division wrestlers running, the heavyweight division. So it's kind of weird. I just feel like, the X Division style is just, it's not that special anymore. And they need to figure out a way to make it special. I don't know what they have to do, how they need to maybe tweak it. I really don't know, but it just seems like it's so hard for them to highlight the X Division the same way it was highlighted back in the day. They struggle with that, and it doesn't matter what regime it is, they always seem to struggle. Now, Don and Scott haven't stepped in yet. This is still the very end of, I guess you'd say, the in-between regime. So we'll see what they do come February 1st, I believe is the first episode where they're going to be in control. We'll see what they do with the X Division, but it's sad, man. Just like you're saying, it always seems to struggle. I like Ishimori. I really like Desmond Xavier, but like you said, it just seems like it's hard for them to highlight these guys on TV every week.
They do, and I mean, the thing is, there's only 2 heels in the entire X Division. There was 3, but it seems like they're not ever going to use Rosemary's boyfriend, Andrew Everett, again, which is disappointing as fuck because I liked Andrew Everett a lot.
They just dropped him. Why can't they? They can't find anything for him. I would.
They can't even mention like. Hey,
I would much rather see him on my television set than Ishimori, and I'm not trying to say specifically that he's a better talent than Ishimori. It's just like, I don't know, with the partnership with Noah, it's kind of like, I don't know, these guys just show up and like the Impact viewer is supposed to know who Ishimori is. Like they really haven't. He has no character. He's just I don't know. He's kind of just there. Like I get the whole partnership thing. It's cool. Eddie Edwards is the GHC champion, right? It's the GHC.
I believe he lost it. I know he lost it because literally I signed on to Asylum once, and it was like the fucking end of the world that Eddie Edwards had lost his belt, and it meant that Eddie was leaving Impact. But it's like, did you expect Eddie to hold this championship forever?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, if Impact did more with Noah, like if they showed Noah's shit on the GWN, I would be more invested and I would be more interested in a guy like Ishimori. But, I mean, I want to see Desmond Xavier. He won the fucking Super X Cup. Did we forget about that? I want to see him. I love Trevor Lee. I really loved Andrew Everett. Andrew Everett is a guy that I think could really be the next big guy when it comes to the X Division. I hate to be cliche, but he could be the next AJ Styles, but I think he could be the next AJ Styles. That guy has so much talent. And it fucking hurts when, because this happens in wrestling all the time, and not just Impact, when they have a guy for a certain amount of time, and it just seems like creative just doesn't have anything for him, and he slowly gets set aside, and he gets put on the bench, and more times than not, he just sits on that bench until they eventually release him. And we don't even know, is Andrew Everett still signed with Impact? We have no idea. When do you think the last time he's been on TV was?
I don't even. Wasn't it like right before Bound for Glory or something? It was like they used him, and then all of a sudden it was just like he's fucking gone.
Yeah,
never came around.
It's fuck. Oh yeah, no, you're right. I think because him and Trevor Lee got kind of back together, and then he just kind of disappeared. Seems like the company is going with Trevor Lee, I guess, over him, and I get it. They have to reshuffle the deck and bring in new talent. I get it, but a lot of missed opportunity not pushing Andrew Everett and making him a permanent fixture on Impact Television because he is a fucking phenomenal professional wrestler.
I would like to see Andrew Everett. Like they could have had Andrew Everett stick in the X Division and then have Conley and Lee because Trevor Lee apparently only wants to do the X Division style and shit for a bunch of fucking fat slobs that go out to the PWG and indie shit and not do it for Impact and put him on TV. Put him in tag team or like the mid card scene, and let those two to be a tag team because Lord knows this company needs tag teams more than anything else. and go with that. But they're not doing that. As far as the X division, man, I think like they need to give it more time. And focus it and give it more than just one fucking feud. Like I think they're doing 2 or 3 knockouts feuds right now, at least coming up on these tapings. Do the same with the X division, man. Like you have Petey Williams, you have Desmond Xavier, Matt Sydal, Lee Conley, Ishimori, Phantasma. Like all these guys could probably do it. Eddie Edwards, for Christ's sake. I mean, there's a lot that they can do. And as far as the Ishimori thing goes, dude, like I can't get into it. I don't care about the Noah talent. I don't really have a reason to. All these people that have came over, dude, Phantasma has won me over, but I just don't give a shit about this. And I said last year, Sonata sucked. He was fucking boring. Nobody gave a shit. A lot of people harped on me for it, but I still stand by I'm saying no one gives a fuck about Sonata. It was a waste of time. The guy, yeah. And I feel the same thing with Ishimori. Maybe he's a little more, but I'm just not feeling it. And I feel like Desmond won the Super X Cup, like you said. What's the point in the Super X Cup? Now it just means it just feels pointless.
Now, I have a serious question for you, man. Think about this. Impact, because I mean, you hear they have a partnership coming with Twitch. They have the GWN network. I think they struggle because I feel like one television show every week it's just hard for them to fit everything onto one show. If they created a separate show, whether it be a whole nother separate show, think like a B show, like a SmackDown, or even like a WCW Saturday Night, a WCW Thunder, just a second show, or if they did something more along the lines of, I hate to say it, I hate to bring up the Evil Empire, more along the lines of a 205 Live, where it's an X Division based show. Do you think they should create another program just, to give guys like Andrew Everett and the X Division as a whole more emphasis, or would it just be meaningless and nobody would watch it? What do you think?
I've always suggested that they do a second show if they could ever get it. Now they have the means to at the GWN, but what you do, it's an hour-long show, and it's just straight wrestling. And what you do is you focus on the tag teams and knockouts in the X Division. You either do 1 hour of each, like 1 week it's an hour of the knockouts, 1 hour tag team, 1 hour X Division, or just feature the 3, like one match, to try and get more talent on TV and get them over, build some feuds up, and get them polished and get them in the Impact viewers' mind. That's what I've always felt should be done with the second show. Because I mean, it's hard to get everyone in, and I'll tell you, like that booking challenge shit, it was fucking hard to try and figure out what I was doing, and that's not even a quarter like the stress and pressure that these people actually do with Impact. But they've got a lot of talent that can shine a lot better, and I feel like they've always needed just a second show for an hour more than a third hour, because I mean it gets boring that way. But that's my opinion. I don't know how you feel on it, but.
No, I think they need another show. I don't know about a specific X Division show, but they need another show. Period. They do. They can't manage their roster on one television show every week. It seems like they always struggled with that. They need another show. But do they have the thriving fan base that's going to support a second show? I really don't know. But the new regime coming in, it's exciting times. We don't know what they're going to do, what new things they have in store. So we can only hope we get something like that, whether it be on the GWN or on Twitch or YouTube, whatever the fuck they got to figure out. But bottom line, they need another show, and the X Division needs purpose.
We're talking way more on the show than I expected us to. Look, at the start, I mentioned Dan Lambert came out with Lashley and Cam and all. Moose got involved, of course. Eddie Edwards came to his aid. Moose and Eddie Edwards took on Cam and Bobby Lashley. KM, who, had kind of been the punching bag, and I know a lot of people, including myself, that felt like KM deserved better, actually got a pinfall on Eddie Edwards this week. And then we got the preview of OVE against LAX for next week in that barbed wire massacre match set up. Any final thoughts on that, Kyle?
Dude, I'm a fan of KM. When he first came in, I thought, the goofy promos were hysterical. Like I said before, I'm a sucker for that type of shit. But we can, as he went along, we can actually see this guy is a fucking legit wrestler. He can move around for a guy his size. I love that finisher, man, that powerbomb lung blower, and it was great to see him close out the show and get the win, on a main event. That was fucking awesome. KM is a great wrestler, and I think he's got a bright future in Impact Wrestling, Raven Effect. I do.
I agree. I think he's deserved a lot better than he's got. He's a big guy, can actually work, wrestle well. I maybe get him a different name than just KM, but you're kind of stuck with it. I feel like he deserves better. My boy Count had always suggested, why don't you make him the muscle for Eli Drake as opposed to Adonis, sort of a thing. But we'll see where things go. Who knows if he's going to stick around with this ATT thing. I thought that could have done wonders for him. Maybe tag team wrestling. I don't know, but we'll see where it goes there.
Anything involving Dan Lambert's good for me.
Exactly. I guess the other thing, man, that I didn't mention is I remember they kept talking about Eli Drake going to Detroit with Johnny Impact and Alberto. So that I assume we're going to get that match next week. They literally had said, we'll show you what happened in Detroit. I mean, it doesn't even feel like it's fresh. It feels like they're just admitting, hey, this was taped a while back. And now this shit happened weeks ago, and we're going to show you how it went on TV. It's kind of a blunder to me. With this new regime, I really fucking hope that we get a new commentary team. I was excited about JB being on, but I cannot tolerate these two monotone fucking no passion, no selling of anything between JB and Josh Matthews, and I just hope that's one thing that gets overhauled too.
What, man? Don Callis is a great fucking play-by-play guy. He can do color commentary. He can do play-by-play. He's still doing it currently with New Japan. The guy can go, man. His podcast is great. He's a great talker. Like you said earlier, Cyrus back in the day. That's a guy I would put at the table, honestly. If he can juggle being the booker and doing fucking, commentary work, play-by-play, whatever you want to call it, I think, that'd be a guy to look at. But since we're on the subject of it, who are your suggestions? Do you think they should get rid of both JB and Josh and get a completely new team? Like, what are you thinking?
I mean, back in the days, man, JB would do fine on commentary. I don't know if it's Josh and it just like Dry Who Gives a Shit that's dragged it down, but I mean, I'd like to see maybe Don West and it was that guy from ESPN that did Slammiversary, or Don Callis and Don West. And I didn't even like Don West that much back in the days, but it's like I just want someone to show some fucking enthusiasm that I'll take it.
I think Josh I think Josh has his moments. He gets a lot of fucking flack, man. I don't think Josh is that bad, honestly. I really don't. I think he's come into his own over time, but I think that like fans just hate him so much, and if they're not gonna stick to the GOAT thing, and like I don't know, it's just. Get a new team. Hashtag bring back Todd Kennelly. I'm going for that.
I liked Todd Kennelly a lot back in the day.
He was good. He was great. He was very underrated.
I'm bringing that up, and Old School Hill just tell me that he would go back and listen, and Kennelly's not that great. He would just sounded so much better than a burnout Mike Tenay and a Taz who was just kind of tuned out too.
It was so long ago. I haven't heard it in so many years, so maybe he's got something there. It's not as good as we remember, but I thought he was great. I liked him. But, I think it's time to start looking for some new guys.
Yeah. Apparently that guy that did, and I got to learn his name. Actually, let me grab the DVD that I purchased off of shopimpact.com with my gift card earnings.
Ooh.
Never mind, I can't find it. The guy who did the GFW, the anthology stuff, his name was Cyrus Fees, is apparently pretty good. Haven't popped that DVD in yet to see how it goes. Yeah, I'm still buying DVDs, motherfuckers, even though I have GW. And hate on me all you want.
My suggestion, who I think they should bring in, and I'm just throwing this out there, this is just some random geeky fantasy booking type. They need to bring in Larry Dallas. And if you don't know who Larry Dallas is he's been a manager on the indies for a long time. He plays a great character. He can do the broadcast journalist type thing that Bobby Heenan would, be famous for. He would be great for the role. He was working for Sirius XM on Busted Open Radio for a while. But I'm pretty now. I don't know if this is legit, but the rumor is that Bully Ray stole his job because now Bully Ray has his gig. He kind of stepped up, and they were splitting them up. And now, ever since 2018, the new year, they fired Larry, and Bully stepped up and is getting all of Larry's days. So it sucks, and this guy's out without a job. And I think he could bring a lot to Impact Wrestling, whether it be doing color commentary or simultaneously being a manager. This is just some Kyle fantasy booking here. Impact Wrestling, look into Larry Dallas. That would be a great guy to bring in.
That sounds like a good idea. I can look into him here. I also think Bully Ray would be great, and to go fuck yourself, Bully Ray. But Speaking of rumors here, it came out again from old David Meltzer. We've got 1 day left of these tapings, and it hasn't happened yet. But the rumors of Rey Mysterio coming to Impact Wrestling are heating up again. My fucking fingers are crossed that he comes into at these tapings tomorrow. Kyle, anything to chime in here on old Ray?
I don't know, because there were rumors that they were like this close. He was about to sign. I know him and Conan are best friends. But then there was another rumor that the talks fell through and he went back to Mexico. But, if they're smart, they could be putting out, false statements to throw the sheets off. Or would they save him for the very last day of tapings? I don't know. I really don't know. It would be a hell of a surprise if he shows up at, the final day of tapings, which would be, airing a couple months from now. But I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to go about this. If they get him, and if they do get him, I don't know exactly what they're going to do with him on the show. I hope he doesn't become Impact Global Champion anytime soon.
God, no.
Yeah, I want to see him in a veteran role. I don't want to see him winning any belts. I don't know. Maybe he could be the guy that, the veteran that comes into the X Division and has some classics with the young guys and puts them over. Don't know. Or would he roll with LAX? I don't know. But if Rey Mysterio comes in, it's a plus for the company. As long as they don't have to fucking break the bank and spend all of their money on paying him, the kids love him. You sell a whole ton of merchandise. The guy's a walking franchise in himself. It would be a plus for me. I'm a fan of Rey Mysterio. I'd like to see him come in, if it's true.
Yeah, I'll say this. They fucking need him really bad after the departures that we had this past week at the tapings. I think it's necessary. Just like you, the last thing I want to see is Mysterio become the champ. I don't care if he holds the X Division Tag Team Grand Championship, whatever. I don't want the tiny-ass midget to be our world champion, especially right off the bat. Especially, I can't imagine this is the Rey Mysterio of old that, was this insane dude that could do all these stuff. I mean, he's got bad knees. He's getting older with age. I mean, Ray, you look at Ray back in the WCW Cruiserweight days, that was a skinny-ass man. He's got a little bit of a beer belly with that thug life going down.
He's a grizzled veteran. He's past his prime,
right.
But he's one of those legends that don't matter. It'll be great to see him. But no, he definitely can't perform at the level that he did back in the day. But I haven't seen him in a long time, so I don't know. I don't want to say that, and then he comes back and totally flips our wigs. So we'll see.
The one thing that I want to see, and you just brought up a good point that totally burst in my bubble, was I wanted to see the fucking Rey Mysterio of back in the WCW days where he was all gangster with it. I want to see him join LAX like that, but
Filthy
the kids
Animals.
love him, the merchandise. Yeah, the Filthy Animals. Was it Ric Flair that they buried, or
they buried him in the desert? The Filthy Animals buried Ric Flair in the desert.
It was okay.
Fucking happened.
Dude, the Filthy Animals was a dope dude. Him and Kidman and Conan, and I know there was one other person on there, but they were awesome, dude. I was digging it. I digged that a lot back in the days. I want to see that Mysterio come back, but I can't imagine it happening. But one thing that I guess, I'm sure it's going to get copyrighted by the WWE, but amends have been made. Maybe one day we may see the Broken Brilliance back in Impact Wrestling is Matt Hardy and Ed Nordholm. There's a picture of them shaking hands and smiling and all happiness. So the axe has been buried. There is no more grudge between the two. I'm sure Rebby's still beefing at something. But that's over with.
Yeah, you know what? Hold on a second there, Raven Effect. You know what that means? And I'm getting pissed here. I'm shouting a little bit. That means that you fucking geeks on the internet can stop commenting and writing "fuck that owl" every time I want to say something about Impact Wrestling or somebody else is posting about Impact Wrestling. The hatchet's been buried. Your king, Broken Matt, is cool with Impact, and the owl, again, they are alliances in the Great War. So please, no more fuck that owl. Please.
The other thing that I want to say, because I'll see this on Facebook or some shit sometimes when I'll go on like Impact Wrestling, because for some reason I've just gotten frustrated enough to where I'll just talk shit to some of these trolls as of late during these taping results and headlines. But I don't ever want to see Free Brother Nero again either. So fuck you. I'm sure you'll find something else to just badmouth and hate Impact and use as your next stigma, but you can't use that shit again. You get your woken Matt Hardy to be butchered in WWE. Everyone
I don't support animal bestiality.
The only thing I'm going to say is this drug on for like a year. I think this happened like January of last year. It's at the point I do not give a fucking shit at all that this is over with, or that it resolved. I forgot that it even mattered with the Woken stuff that I kept hearing about, and yeah, I'm glad it's done. And yeah, I never want to hear it again. Like, all these trolls and all that shit, I never want to hear it. Like, Kyle, dude, I remember you got into it with some dude who literally went to Bound for Glory to troll with a sign, and I believe you called his wife a hippopotamus, or his boo a hippopotamus, and it was a savage comment, and I was pretty impressed. It was fucked up, but I was pretty impressed by it.
We gotta understand, this motherfucker paid money to go to Bound for Glory, and just to be funny and get a retweet from Rebby Hardy, he fucking held up a "fuck that owl" sign. That pissed me off, man. So I clicked on his page, and he had this picture up. It's him. He's like a scrawny kind of guy, and his girl, his wife, was like I'm talking a 350-pounder. Like, I'm not like a chubby chick. I like chubby chicks, man. I like a nice thick, woman. But this girl was fucking huge, and I wrote to him. I was like, hey, you know what? I'd rather fuck an owl than fuck that fat hippopotamus you got going on over there. And it got a nice amount of retweets and favorites. And the guy got really, really offended. We went back and forth a few times. It was some funny shit. But yeah, man, you know what? The fucking owl fuckers, I can't stand them.
Sometimes when you start a match, you're gonna get lit on fire. That's all I'm saying.
That's it.
Cast, we do dirty.
That's it. He acted like I was the worst man in the world, but it's like, don't step in the ring if you don't want to get knocked the fuck out.
That's right. That's what Tupac gonna do. If Tyson don't want to get in the ring, or Tyson don't want to get knocked out, he don't step in the fucking ring.
That's right.
That's right. Speaking of ring, dude, back to Four Sides. And some people, like, I have seen, someone that he's one of my boys, we support him on this show. We plugged him a lot and all. People are losing their fucking minds about the 6-sided ring. I'm at the point, I just don't care. I don't care if it's 6, if it's 4. Apparently it's safer for 4 sides for the wrestlers. I guess Impact loses its, 6 sides of steel and part of its identity. Like, everyone, I just want to be as real as possible. This company has no fucking identity. It's trying to build one. A 6-sided ring is never going to be the identity. The fact that John Gaburick came back over and brought that 6-sided ring back, that's because he thought that was the identity of this company, and he had no fucking idea what he's doing, and that's why we got in an even bigger shithole than we were.
That is the identity of the company. Every 12 months we have a different identity. That's the identity of the company.
Exactly.
I like the 4-sided ring. You know what? I've always read in interviews, and this is going back in the day, like way back, the wrestlers prefer a 4-sided ring because, A, that's what they, learned to wrestle in. That's what they were trained in. That's all they know. You rarely go into wrestling school and, you don't get used to a 6-sided ring. You step into Impact and you have to learn it right there for television. I've read throughout the years that it's much stiffer. It's harder to bump on the 6-sided ring. Last year, Lance Storm on his podcast, did a whole rant about how the 4-sided ring is better than the 6-sided ring. I've always heard that. I get the people that, it's the identity of the company. I get that. I totally understand that. But if the wrestlers prefer a 4-sided ring, then, it's all about them. It's going to make the product better. It's going to make the matches better. I have my fucking cousin Sean. He's a wrestling fan, but he doesn't like to watch Impact because he can't get used to the 6-sided ring. I sent it to him, and he was excited. Like, oh, yeah, awesome. Like, he'll finally watch now. Like, I'm totally with the 4-sided ring. I get the criticism from people that aren't, but me personally, man, round of applause for Cyrus and Scott just being aggressive and not being afraid to make big changes. That's the type of leadership we need.
Yeah, I guess I don't really understand exactly how the 4-sided ring hurts less to take a bump on, but I've heard that so many times from multiple wrestlers. Maybe it's the way that the boards or whatnot, but if it makes people want to perform better, gets match quality better, prevents injuries, all that, makes people happier, then so be it. I hear the criticism I hear is people they're doing the exact same mistakes that Hogan and Bischoff made.
Except they're not Hogan and Bischoff.
Yeah, the two things here. One, really, they made so many mistakes that switch to the ring was such a minor one that it really wouldn't have mattered if the ring was 6 or 4. The company still would have taken to all hell. And two, like the bright side of this, even if they are, there's not a whole lot of success to like completely throw down the shitter like Hogan and Bischoff did. Like they weren't this growing company that was about to be number 2 that had, you know, all this hotness and this roster that no one could compete with. Like, and on the climb up, like we're just hoping to stay on a ladder at some point on a couple of rungs and just not fall off completely. So we're good. We're good. We're just going to worry and make sure that it doesn't turn into a John Buick product times 5. The other good thing, this makes me happy. So look, I don't like cars that have bumper stickers. I think it's kind of lame. We have championship belts that have bumper stickers on them. And apparently, at the pay-per-view that's coming back, which was supposed to be locked down for a lot of people, it's actually going to be called Redemption, apparently. But at this pay-per-view, we're finally getting new championship belts without bumper stickers on them, Kyle. And I couldn't be happier.
The redemption of Impact Wrestling, baby. Scott and Don, I'm on your team. I am supporting you. Like the Trump supporters, I'm a Scott and Don supporter. Make Impact Wrestling great again. Woo!
Did you hear about Trump? Like, apparently fucking Stormy Daniels, good for him, dude. Like, I don't blame him if that was the case.
I regret bringing that up. We are not getting political, Raven Effect. That is not happening.
This isn't political. We're talking about sex. I'm just saying. A man is only as faithful as his options sometimes. And, look, he's not an attractive man. He pulled a porn star and his hot-ass, like, trophy bride, mail-order bride that he's got. You know, dude, good for the Donald, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
People didn't hate him as much back then. It was like, oh, that's that billionaire. It's kind of a douchebag, but, you know, we let him do whatever he wants. He can grab us by the pussy. But, you know, she denied it. So, I went to check fucking Impact spoilers on Twitter, and all it was about Stormy Daniels. And I was like, what'd this bitch do? And so, you know, it's kind of wrestling related, but all I ask Impact, because I want you to go back to TNA, but I know you're not. But please drop the global in the world title. Go to world champion, please. I don't ever want to hear global champion again. That was that ridiculous failure with the red belt. You know, that it was a TV, the Legends Championship, the global championship held by Rob Terry. I remember the Rob Terry reign with that belt more than anything. And it's like, just drop it. It sounds like a mid-card belt. Don't ever call it the global championship again.
But I'm cool with the Global Wrestling Network staying because they have other wrestling, you know, content from around the globe. I don't mind it being the GWN. That's cool with me. I don't necessarily immediately associate that with GFW, Global Force Wrestling. I'm cool with the network staying as GWN, but I'm with you. I hope they rename the title. I really hope they do. It's the Impact Wrestling Champion or, you know, something like that.
And the other thing I want to say, I don't know if this was sarcasm or whatnot, but I read someone say that the belts that are going to be replacing the current bumper sticker championships are the NWA championships, bringing that back. I don't know that I buy into that or believe it. I don't know if for those of you that that did watch Impact Wrestling back in the days or did not, the NWA championship that was held, like the main title back in the days, it looked like shit. I know it's got prestige and lineage, but
whoa! Are you talking about the one that Billy Corgan, the 10 pounds of gold, the most prestigious championship of all time? You don't like that belt?
I have. I've not seen what it looks like since Billy Corgan resurrected it, but I remember like my man Christian.
It's the belt. You don't have to know, man. Yeah, the belt. So you're telling me this is where I got beef with you, Raven Effect. You don't respect the NWA 10 pounds of gold. You don't respect the belt, but you want them to bring back tits and ass wrestling? Are you kidding me?
I do. NWA TNA.
Tell me why. Why do you think TNA is a good name? I'm opening up another can of worms here. People like this. They like debate. Why do you think they should go back to TNA? Because I am against that 100%.
All right. Because I'm a historian and I grew up. This company was called TNA. Is it the greatest thing? No. It was your boy Vince Russo literally making a joke like it was going to sound like tits and ass, but we'll call it total nonsense. That shit is for real. Okay, like. I'm not going to defend that. Like, when it came out, there was bitches dancing in cages. It was kind of a trashier thing. Midgets beating off in trash cans. Like, we get it, right? But for those of us that have been around forever, man, like, TNA has a nostalgia to it. Because you would see this company with the X Division, with the Tag Division, with this shit would go crazy. And this crowd was the liveliest crowd since ECW. And you would, every single show, you'd hear TNA, 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 almost like multiple times. And I remember speaking to Donald Trump, WWF. I was watching Raw, WWE, sorry, and they have this stupid fucking Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell match, and it is the worst shit I have ever seen. And during this happening live on a Monday night, the entire crowd starts chanting TNA, TNA, TNA. You can't chant Impact. You can't, and like GFW. I mean, that wasn't
Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Impact
no, I don't want to
Wrestling.
hear that. It doesn't have the same thing.
But
And
I think that the TNA name is it's just destroyed. When you say TNA to casual wrestling fans, they go, oh, like the reputation is so fucking destroyed. If you don't like Impact, then they should figure out something else. But I don't think they should go back to TNA. That's just me personally. We can agree to disagree here. But me personally, I hate the name TNA. It's tits and ass. Don't like it, and I hope they don't go back to it. And at least in my opinion, it seems like they are trying to bury TNA as a whole. Even the Jarrett shows, the first episode started out with TNA is dead. And this new regime, I think they're going in a different direction. I think that they want people to forget about TNA, and I think they want people to hear about this new company and treat it as a new company. That's definitely probably why they got rid of the six-sided ring to begin with.
And that could definitely be the case. The other thing, though, man, is, okay, TNA, Impact, they're synonymous together. Like, you can't say Impact and not expect people to think TNA with it. Because the show is always called TNA Impact. I think anyone that actually knows what TNA is, which isn't every casual wrestling fan by any stretch of the imagination, they associate the word Impact with it. If that's the case and you want to separate it, which I understand, go different than Impact. But for the love of God, do not ever change the name of the fucking company again. I don't even know what it's called. Are we legitimate Impact now? I know we're not GFW all of a sudden again.
Total nonstop global force Impact Wrestling from Canada.
Yeah, this company has had more name changes than Brother Underscore on the show has, and so yeah, and it was NWA TNA. There's just so much shit. I miss that. Because TNA had balls back then, and you would see some stuff that you don't see in wrestling. There is some originality, and what we haven't seen in a long time is a barbed wire match. And I'll never forget the Sabu and Terry Funk barbed wire match and how brutal that shit was. So I've been excited since these tapings were announced to see LAX versus OVE in the barbed wire match. Pop TV's not going to air it. So Conan had brought it up. Now it's being reported. Pop TV is not going to allow the barbed wire match to come on the air. And I don't know, what is this new company, like Stitch or whatever, Kyle, that it's called?
Twitch, man. You're not familiar with Twitch? Twitch is huge.
I'm kind of technology and all that shit. Really stupid. So I haven't heard of this stuff. I'm very old and old-fashioned with it. I'm 33, but I probably got the technology mind of a 50-year-old. So I don't know what it is. I want to get it so I can literally just see that match.
Well, all right. So Twitch is primarily it's used for broadcasting video games. People play video games on it. As weird as that sounds, people subscribe to watch people play video games. Along the line, Wrestle Circus used it. Now Tommy Dreamer's using it for his House of Hardcore promotion, which I can't say enough good things about. I love those shows. But now Impact has set up a partnership with Twitch. Not to spoil it, I wouldn't consider this a spoiler, but moving forward, after February 1st, the ring apron has a Twitch logo on it. They're going to be putting all types of content onto Twitch. Not sure what exactly, but the thing is with the barbed wire match, I think it's a good marketing scheme because it's kind of like it gets people talking like, oh my God, they can't put this on TV. I got to go check this out. Like, I think controversy is good in this case. It gets people talking. People are going to go out of their way to see something that was pulled off of television. But I don't know if that's true, Raven Effect, because yeah, Conan tweeted that. But Pop TV and Impact are still promoting it. And they're still promoting they have a bumper with the Pop logo on it. They haven't came out and said it's going to be canceled. So maybe they're editing it down and they're going to put a full unedited version online. I don't know what they're doing. But Impact themselves have not came out and said, oh, we're not going to air that match. And Pop TV hasn't came out and said that. But Conan came out and said that, and he would know. Or maybe he was just trying to stir up some buzz and create some controversy. I have no idea. But so it's 50-50, I think. We don't have a clear answer because nobody came out and said that except for Conan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll find out Thursday. I hope to God that it's not because I've literally, since these tapings were announced, I have been looking forward to this match and literally pretty much only this match for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it seems like it's taken fucking forever to get here. So, Pop TV, please grow some balls. If I can turn on my TV when I get home on a Thursday night, and like the last thing it was recording was Impact Wrestling, and I also had like a show like Mom recording on the other end, and it goes to Pop. There's been times that I turn it on and like Big Brother After Dark, and these people are literally dropping F-bombs out loud, uncensored, talking about fucking each other.
Having sex on the show. There's like fake reality sex, reality show sex going on that show, and I can't see some pro wrestling barbed wire, a little bit of blood. Come on now, Pop TV. This is pro wrestling. You want people to tune in. You want ratings. You need to push the envelope. And this is pushing the envelope. Professional wrestling needs this. And shout out to them for calling it Barbed Wire Massacre 3 and, not totally ditching, the history. Like, they're actually, there's some, they're actually, showing some props to old school TNA there. So they're not completely dropping everything, I guess. If this is the third edition of Barbed Wire Massacre, I can't wait. And it just sounds like, dude, LAX, Homicide's going to be in there. OVE, Sammy Callahan, he's an animal. He's a sick bastard. This is great. I can't wait to see it, and I hope it makes it to television. But if it doesn't, I think it's a good way to start controversy.
No doubt. And props to Impact Wrestling for having the balls to do this match. Two things I'm just going to say real fast. You mentioned Tommy Dreamer. BQ had sent me a text. He said Tommy Dreamer is apparently backstage in like a producing role. My man Old School Heel texted me, said Jerry Lynn was backstage in kind of a role similar to that. Old School Heel and myself have also been saying for years we want to see Jerry Lynn become the agent of the X Division, and that.
No, I got the scoop on that. I got the scoop on that. Tommy Dreamer was backstage for the first two episodes, or first 2 or 3, and then he had to fly home, and Jerry Lynn showed up and finished off the set of the tapings. So, working in like a producer-agent type role, you're going to see half of that done with Tommy Dreamer and the other half done with Jerry Lynn.
All right. Thank you for that, Kyle.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to say right now, I nominate, vote, give everything I can to see Jerry Lynn become the agent of the X Division, even over Sanjay. But look, kind of get to the other stories here. So Brian Cage, our man Hurls has been trying to say this for years. Of course, we're throwing weeks. We throw the Donovan Dijak thing in his face a lot. But Hurls has been calling this with Brian Cage is going to be debuting in Impact. Dude is Jack. He's a monster, but can move around in the ring really fucking well. I'm excited as hell to see what they do with this guy in Impact Wrestling. If you haven't seen Brian Cage, Lucha Underground, he's actually been on Gut Check back in the days during the Hogan era. I'm excited, Kyle. I don't know if you got anything you want to add on this one.
Brian Cage is awesome. This is a big score for Impact, and Hurls finally got something right. So, round of applause for you, Hurls. Brian Cage, great wrestler, hell of a talent. I'm a big fan. He's one of the best big men in the business today, and I think he's got a bright future with Impact Wrestling for sure.
Someone who does not have a bright future with Impact Wrestling is Chris Adonis. Chris Adonis is done with Impact. I know so many people just cannot stand this guy and have wanted him gone. I haven't actually minded him in his role as much. I don't like seeing him in the ring. I don't like seeing him win matches, but he hasn't been. He's just literally been jobbing out, kind of putting people over. I haven't minded him in this role with Eli Drake, but it's definitely not going to hurt anyone to see Adonis gone. I don't know if you have anything you want to add in on the departure of Chris Adonis. It didn't seem like they wrote him off TV, but
no.
What happened.
You know what? I was a fan of DNA. Drake and Adonis. I thought he was a good lackey for the greatest wrestler of any and all time, Eli Drake. I don't think Impact had much for him outside of that role. I didn't care for him when he was Chris Masters doing the Master Lock Challenge. Haven't really cared for him much at all during his little run here in Impact. He's a guy that Jeff Jarrett brought in, and you'll probably see a bit of a trend of that. Jarrett's buddies that he brought in slowly get phased out. Not all of them, but, that's just how the business goes. It's kind of the cycle of how things work. you bring in your buddies, and now that he's gone, his buddies will slowly be phased out. And I think Adonis is the first one you're seeing go.
Yeah, and I don't want to see everyone go, to be honest. Jeff Jarrett didn't make a whole lot of shitty hires. He did bring in some talented guys. The roster was paper thin before Jarrett got there. I don't want to see it ever go back to that again. But we're having a lot of talents kind of drop off, and this is kind of where we start getting into that. So, like we got reported last, month ago or so, if not more, Laurel Van Ness, who was literally fucking given the Knockouts championship after Gail Kim retired. The person that they anoint, and she had been a great character and all that. They give her the ball to run with it, and what happened was she requested her release after she was given the belt. And apparently she's going to be finishing up at this set of tapings. I haven't been able to say on this, but fuck you, Laura Van Ness. I literally have no respect for what she did. For one, if you had planned this the whole time, say, I'm going to leave, please don't put your belt on me. We just literally had to vacate it with Gail Kim. We had Taya not be able to make it. I mean, like, shit was just going downhill for this company and people dropping off like fucking flies. And here she gets her opportunity. And it's just like, let me degrade this belt some more. Like, I don't even want this championship. This knockout championship that, by the way, your profession as a women's wrestler, it was an entire joke doing bra and panties fans because none of you could fucking wrestle until this company that put the belt on you kicked down doors and showed you that women could actually wrestle. It's the biggest slap in the face and disgrace. And she would go on there and I would see her on Twitter and it would like get brought up to it, but she would literally not deny the fact that she requested her release. And people were trying to say, oh, she's fine. No, motherfucker. If she was fine, she would deny it. The same reason that you guys would always say, oh, well, they're not getting kicked off of Destination America because that person won't deny it. And, like, I got no love for her. I'm so disappointed in this. You want to go to the WWE to do the stupid women's Royal Rumble. Too bad the Knockouts were doing the fucking Gauntlet Battle Royals and this company well before that. And I'm sorry, it's just boring, dude. Like, you're going to have 2 Royal Rumble matches, one for the women, one for the men. Do you know how long that is going to be and boring? You're just going to water it down. Your shitty, worthless fucking boyfriend who pulled the Guido Jersey Shore gimmick, that's a joke, that's a jobber there. Like, you're going to go for that? Kiss my ass, good riddance, get the fuck out of the company, and don't ever come back. Like, fuck you, Chelsea Green, Laura Van Ness, fuck you and get the fuck out. That's my thoughts on that, Kyle. I'll let you say what you want, but
I can't follow that.
I
can't follow that. I got nothing after that. You said it all.
It disgusted me. I was so mad and disappointed to hear this, and I really liked this girl and was wanting to see her get the push, and it's appalling to me. So, Kyle, we got the good news, the highlight. Like, I have never been so ecstatic to feeling some deep low. So let's close this off with the high. My man, if there's anyone in wrestling, look, my 2 favorites, Eli Drake probably number 1, EC3 2, but my real favorite left this company. And I felt that this was a guy that they dropped the ball with, that they should have made the face of the company for a while there. I always say with AJ Styles, anything he can do, Austin Aries can do better. Impact broke the news, which I don't know why they're doing. Apparently they're trying to do something new because everyone breaks their news but them. Austin Aries returns to Impact Wrestling, and Eli Drake, my man, phenomenal on another level above everyone else. I kind of wanted to see this guy break Bobby Roode's record as champion. Austin Aries is our TNA, Impact, Global Force Wrestling, whatever. He's our world champion. And we will see this the first episode that debuts under this new regime, but A-Double returns first night and beats Eli Drake and ends this streak, ends this reign. Dude, like, I was marking out. My mind was blown. Thoughts on this one?
Greatest man that ever lived. Come on, everybody. Austin Aries. Round of applause for Austin Aries. Welcome back home, baby. We are so glad you're back. One of the best wrestlers of all time. Been a fan of his for so long. I've always wanted... See, dude, in some sick Mark way, I've fantasized about this before. And imagine, when he was in WWE... See, I'm the type of guy, when people go off to WWE, I'm happy for them because I know that's the top of the industry. It's WrestleMania, da-da-da-da-da. But when I heard that first off, they put Austin Aries in the pre-show, and then they cut his match from the DVD. They didn't even put him in the DVD. The way they were treating him, you know what? If he was getting a big push there, I would have been, totally supportive and happy for him. But I saw that they were wasting him, so it's like, you know what? Fuck that, man. Come back to Impact or go somewhere else. Do something else. And now he's back. He's back home at Impact Wrestling just when we needed him the most. And I couldn't be happier. And that, it says a lot because Eli Drake is like my favorite wrestler, so I was let down that he immediately got the belt, but at the same time, it's like, it's not like he's just a guy from WWE coming in and getting the belt thrown at him. He has such a long history in Impact, you know what I mean? Way bigger, and his legacy is just so big with Impact Wrestling. It's great to have him back, and I think he has more goals to accomplish, but I hope that this doesn't mean that Eli Drake is just going to be forgotten about and, thrown in the garbage and pushed all the way down the card. I hope that Eli Drake stays as a main event caliber talent because he's Eli Drake. It's a fact of life. Yeah, but Austin Aries, welcome back home.
Eli Drake is on another level, and this man is phenomenal. You're right. The only thing that I really do not want to see is Eli Drake get buried, pushed down, taken out of his spot. Eli Drake, make no mistake about it, needs to be the future and the franchise of this company locked into a long-term term. They need to build the entire company around Eli Drake.
Now, you know what I think they should do? You know what I think they should do? Sorry to cut you off, but you know what I think they should do? Eli Drake should do what Taz did in ECW back in the day. Eli Drake should come out with his own belt. You know what? Austin Aries showed up and screwed me. The dummy belt. Put his mugshot right in the center plate. Make it a funny, personalized belt. You know what? You guys don't recognize me as champion? Well, I don't recognize you in your championship. This is my belt. The dummy belt. The Eli Drake belt. The Kavorka belt. Whatever you want to call it. And he should carry around his own championship and just act like in his own cockiness that he never lost it to Austin Aries. That's what I think they should do. I hope he doesn't get wasted. I hope he doesn't get, pushed down the card. But, hey, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. We'll see. But bottom line, Austin Aries, I'm so glad he's back. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, there is literally only one person that could come into Impact Wrestling and, just kind of show up and really in the reign of Eli Drake right off the bat. And that, for me, is Austin Aries. There's literally the only fucking guy that I would be okay with that's happening is the one guy that they went with. So I can't complain. I'm happy as hell. Look, we've got a guy that when he came over, his rise from the X Division champion to beating Bobby Roode in 2012 at wasn't Bound for Glory. It was Destination X was epic. They made the mistake to turn this guy heel, and against Jeff Hardy and his redemption story, like one of the biggest stars in wrestling, especially at that time, the fans were booing Jeff Hardy out of the building for Austin Aries. And then the dirty heels happened, which was great. But then John Gaburek came in. And Austin Aries' credibility got ruined. And they would kind of push him a little bit, and then it just go back to normal. And it was shitty to watch them take a guy who should. I felt like him and Bobby Roode should have been the face of the company for a while, transitioning until it was EC3's time to just be wasted. And now it seems like we got someone who's finally behind Austin Aries. I feel like this guy in the ring can do everything AJ Styles can do, even better. And he's got the personality that AJ Styles could never have. This was our AJ Styles. WWE drops the ball with a lot of talent. They really do. This guy's accomplishing New Japan, ROH World Champ, TNA Impact World Champ, and I couldn't be happier. Could not be happier.
The greatest man that ever lived, folks. Welcome back.
All right, so look, ladies and gentlemen, we had two huge stars leave Impact Wrestling at these tapings. Right now, what we're going to do is Kyle and I, at one point later on, in a day or two, we're actually going to get back on here and we're going to record a separate thing with the spoiler as to who it is. I kind of feel like everyone's going to know by the time that it gets out, but these are two huge names, and I know you kind of had something that you really want to chime in on if you're going to say it on this show for the viewers too, but we're doing this so anyone that's going to miss spoilers or does not want to catch the spoiler, we don't end up spoiling anything for you. But this is a big loss. Two big losses for Impact Wrestling, and this is why I said we really need Rey Mysterio, and Austin Aries is back at the time that we need him, and why they can't drop the ball with Eli Drake, because I think the one person that they could have never dropped the ball with, they did drop the ball with, and now he's gone. And I have some fears he's going to just become a megastar in the WWE, but also good for him. But Kyle, anything you want to chime in here?
You know what? Without saying their names, let me just break it down for you in a nutshell. It sucks as fans when, people move on. But in my personal opinion, we have to realize something. Sometimes when guys are so great, it's almost selfish of us to think that we're going to hold on to them for ourselves forever. As much as we love Impact and we know Impact puts on the best show, when people come into professional wrestling, a lot of times their goal is, come on, Raven Effect, it's to go work for the WWE and go do WrestleMania and, you know, do all that stuff. It's the top of the industry, no matter what. When you do something, you want to reach the top of your industry and you want to, you know, accomplish that goal. So, yeah, you know what? It sucks that these guys are leaving, but guess what, man? It's a revolving door. It was like that in the 90s. WCW, ECW, WWF. Spots open up. New guys step up. They have a great roster right now of guys that deserve the push that these two guys got. It's just, you know what, to me, man, it's not the end of the world. And if you're a fan and you want to see this company do good, don't lose your head. Be level-headed about this. Support those wrestlers wherever they go. We don't even know if they're going to go to WWE. We don't know. Support them, but more importantly, still support Impact because they have a great roster right now, and they're going to create new stars. That's just how it's going to go. It's a cycle. That cycle is always going to move. It's always going to be in motion.
You know, I mean, we lost James Storm recently, and we lose these two too, and if it weren't for Eli Drake, if it weren't for Austin Aries' return, the Moose's rise, LAX's stuff, I probably would be kind of done, to be honest with you. But Kyle is very right. Like, don't give up on Impact. There's a great roster. Stuff is going to get built, and there's a lot to come here, and it really isn't the end of the world, because I mean, look, one of these guys, they kind of drained out everything that they had going for them, and I think it's the biggest mistake in this company's history. But that said, I mean, it wasn't the devastating loss it would have been a couple years ago. I feel like the one guy who was the most credible on this entire roster, that could also have a great match with anyone, is gone too. And not saying he's the only one, but he's a very small handful that actually can. And it's going to suck. It's not going to be an easy loss to get over. These were two people that had something to prove, and they came into Impact Wrestling and kicked the doors down, the two of them. And best of luck to both of them. I think like Kyle and I are going to have a really good discussion on this when we actually go into the names and all, because we kind of got in a little bit of a, like, I don't know, what do you call it, a debate with the whole like Bound for Glory moment and shit earlier. When we were talking in the chat, I feel like there's some good stuff that's going to come of it, but it's disappointing, but life goes on, and so does this company.
Amen.
All right. So look, thank you everyone for listening again. This is the RAV signing off with Kyle. We are back again finally. Check out Impact Wrestling. Check out these next set of tapings. A double. Eli Drake. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Hey man, you guys seen James Storm around here? I mean, this is Impact Wrestling. He's the guy that built this company. He's been here 15... Oh, wait a minute! He's not here because he's gone, because AM got rid of him. How great was that? Come on, man. He thought he had me. He made his little comeback. He thought he had me. Boom! Bottle upside the head. Goodbye, James Storm. Come on, man. That was great.